Hello, welcome to Practical C++ Programming. My name is Zach, and in this tutorial we are going to be taking a look at our first practical program that we're going to make together, and it's just going to be a simple calculator app. And to do it, the main focus of this is I want you to kind of understand how we're going to structure this program and use the concepts that we've already gone over to make it work like we want it to. That being said, let's go ahead and begin. And the way I want to structure this is basically we're going to make a calculator that lets the user decide at the very beginning if he wants to do addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. And to do that, we're going to use a switch statement. Okay, so let's go ahead and structure it as so. We're going to write switch. And then there we go. Sorry about that, guys. The rest of my brackets got deleted. So there we go. Let's write it just like that. And make sure you get your return statement. Okay. And then in this switch statement is going to be the variable that we're checking. And the way I want to do it is I basically want to have the program open up and have numbers 1 through 4. It'll say 1 addition, 2 subtraction, 3 multiplication, and 4 division. And so to do that, we're going to hold a variable. So we're going to say int, and we'll call it choice. Okay? And we're just going to leave it like that. And we're going to say cout, enter a choice. Actually, the way we're going to do this, we want to let them know beforehand what their options are. So we'll say 1 addition, okay, in line 2 subtraction in line 3 multiplication in line, and 4 division in line. So this is what they're going to see. They're going to see basically this on screen, and they're going to have to make a choice on what they want to use. And then what we'll do is we'll say at the very end, let's give a little bit more space, and we'll say enter a choice. And then we're going to hold that with a cin statement in choice, our variable choice. So kind of, if you need to, push pause and kind of breathe all this in, exactly what we're doing. This is all stuff we've covered in the previous tutorials, and it should be fairly straightforward to you at this point. So at this point, we're holding the integer of the choice that the user selected into choice. So what we do is, in switch, we need to put the variable that we're analyzing, which is our choice variable, and then make cases. So obviously, we'll have case 1, case 2, case 3, case 4. And let's go ahead and add a default as so. Okay? And obviously the default, we can go ahead and add something like exiting, you entered an invalid number. As so, because basically we're going to say if they don't enter 1 and they don't enter 2 or they don't enter 3 or they don't enter 4, they entered something else, and we're going to say exiting, you entered something invalid, and then it's just going to go straight to this code, return 0, and the program will end. So that's how we're going to handle that. Now in these, let's go ahead and, just so we don't forget, we're going to add brackets to all of these as so. That way these are formatted nice and easy so that we can see, you know, case 3 is going to be right here, case 4 is going to be right here. And we're going to go ahead and add our break statements so that we don't forget, because that's going to be very important. These break statements are very important for this code, the way we're structuring it, because you don't want multiplication and division to be run on at the same time. So let's go ahead and add our break statements, which is a good practice to do with switch statements so you don't forget. I would recommend always adding your break statements first if they're necessary. So there we go. So as you can see, if you need to push pause and kind of look at this and make sure you have everything right, go ahead and do so now, because this is how our program, our calculator is going to be structured. Is that so with a switch statement? Okay, so that being said, now that we have our choice entered, basically everything is going to be the same at this point. So we'll say, right here, we'll say enter number 1, and just at the top, let's go ahead and add our new variables. So we have choice here, and you may see people do it a different way, but the convention that I learned in school was to always declare your variables at the top of your main function, or at the top of any function that you're in for that matter. So that's what we're going to do, just so you can get in the good habit of doing it. Let's give us a little bit of space. So we have int choice for our switch statement, and then we're going to use doubles in case they decide they want to use floating point values for their calculations. So we're going to say double number 1, and then actually before putting our semicolon here, I want to show you something else. We're going to say number 2, which is a new way. This is another way you can declare your variables, and this basically says double number 1 and then double number 2. You can declare them like this. This is saying both of these are doubled, and we're not initializing them to anything. We're just making 2 variables of the data type double. So you can try that out, and again, it's a convention. You could just write double number 2 down here if you wanted, but it's all a matter of preference. So we're going to leave it like that for now, and then we're actually going to add one more thing. We'll leave that just like that. Actually, and we're going to say on each of these, we're going to have them enter the number 1 and the number 2, so the code's going to be pretty repetitive actually on each one. So we'll say cout enter number 1, okay, and then cin number 1, okay, and then we're going to give a little bit of space, and we're going to say enter number 2, and we're going to get the input for number 2, okay. And then we're going to output, and we're going to give us plenty of room, okay? And we're going to tell them the result. We're going to do it like this, just so you can see, so that the numbers don't run off the board. We're going to say result equals, okay? And then we're going to say, since case 1 is addition, we're going to say number 1 plus number 2, and then break. And this code is going to be pretty repetitive, so if you want, you can just copy this, because like I said, it's going to be the same for each one pretty much, and we'll paste it in here, okay? Make sure you fix your formatting if the copy and paste mess up. But remember, case 2 is subtraction, so the only one you're really going to have to change is this. Change that to a minus. Case 3 was multiplication, so you'll just have to change this addition to a multiply sign. And then case 4 was division. And we'll change that to a division sign. So there you go. So now our program should run just like we want. We got our switch statements and everything how it needs to be. Go ahead and save it. We'll say build and run, and let's see what happens. So there we go. As you can see on screen, we have our choices: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Let's go ahead and enter subtraction. I'll say enter number 1. So let's do 5, enter number 2, 3. I'll say result equals 2. The process ends. That was subtraction. Now let's go ahead and do division. 4. And I'll say enter number 1. And I kind of want to show you something with division because I don't know if we went over this in arithmetic, but let's say I do 9, okay? And then we do, for number 2, we do 4, so that'll be 9 divided by 4. obviously there's a remainder there, but in just straight division, it's not going to give you the remainder. It's just going to give you 2 because it goes into it 2 times. Now you can see that the result is 2.25, and this is an interesting topic. If you practiced your arithmetic, the reason why we're actually getting a decimal, the actual answer, is because we're doing double on double division. So we have, since both of these are doubles, the result's going to be a double. But let's change these to integers for a second. We're going to do that same problem there. We're going to do 4. We're going to do 9 divided by 4, and we should get 2. And as you can see, we can get 2 even though the real answer is 2.25. And that's because we're using whole number division and not allowing for a double result value. And that's really what we need to do. If we, if you wanted to just make it simple, you just change this to double. And the other alternative would be, if you wanted to, you could just leave these as integers and then hard code a double result value. And basically you could go down here and say result equals, here you could say result equals number 1 plus number 2, and then say result equals result, and that'll still give you a double value because you declare result as a double. But this was our first practical program. I just wanted to show you how we're going to use everything that we learned throughout this course to actually apply to practical situations. And this is the first one. We used our switch statement. The only thing we really didn't use too much in here was an if statement. But if you take the same token, if you want to try it on yourself, you could switch out the switch statement for an if statement. So you could do, if choice equals 1, do this, else if choice equals 2, do this, and so on and so on. So I challenge you to do that. I challenge you to try to do this program with switch statements, and I challenge you to try to do it with if statements. Thank you for watching, and in the next tutorial we're going to go on to more intermediate programming topics. So thank you for watching.